Emancipation Day, Freedom Day, Second Independence Day, and Jubilee Day. A park in Houston was bought specifically for the Juneteenth celebration. Richard Allen, Elias Dibble, Jack Yates, and Richard Brock bought a 10-acre parcel of land. This was in 1872, and it was only for $800. The park is now known as the Emancipation Park, located in Houston, Texas. Owners of the land were former slaves, and they got it specifically for the celebration of Juneteenth. In 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. organized the Poor People's Campaign. It was an effort for the poor people in the U.S. to gain equality and economic justice. The movement was purposely done by King to coincide with the date of freedom celebrations in D.C. Those who were at the march took the same kind of celebration to their towns and states. Soon enough, the holiday was reborn. There was a portion in General Order Number 3 advising the freedmen and women to stay with their owners. The freed slaves will not be given any support if they become idle anywhere in the country, so they were given advice to stay with their owners and work quietly. It does not come for free, as the employer should pay them appropriate wage and compensation. Despite the recommendation from the order to remain in their owner's place, former slaves left their post. When they heard the original reading, the following weeks after the proclamation that they are already free, they left their state in great numbers. They went away to look for better opportunities and reunite with family members.
I think people don't see that we're not so free. I mean, it's changed forms. It's a different iteration of slavery. But I can't help but think, like 1898, one black person saying to another black person, things are great today, we're not slaves anymore. Everything's equal. Everything's right in the world. Things are good. Be grateful for what you have. It's the kind of stuff that I hear today, and I can't help but wonder if they were saying the same things then, not realizing that we still had ways to go, and we can admit that we have a ways to go today, but we don't give ourselves enough credit to know that we don't emphasize enough that there's still a ways to go with a lot of progress needs to be made, especially when it comes to equity, equality, liberty, freedom. The proclamation announcement did not sit well with the slave owners in Texas. They were not eager to part with them, as they felt like the African American enslaved people were their property. When the freed slaves tried to leave, some were beaten and even murdered. Their former owners would catch the slaves swimming across the river. They would heartlessly shoot them. The flag has a bursting star in the center with the color blue on top and the red on the lower portion. The star in the center pays respect to Texas, and the bursting star signifies new people and freedom. The colors blue, red, and white echo the flag of America, which symbolizes that the people who became enslaved were also Americans. Through the years, the celebration of Juneteenth has evolved from just a usual gathering of family and friends. It has grown into a tradition. In some states in the U.S. even celebrate it with pageants and contests like Miss Juneteenth. Celebrations for the commemoration vary, and some would have marches, parades, and barbecues, while other states in the U.S. would have prayers, Juneteenth flag raisings, and public service awards. General Order Number 3, as read by the General Granger, said, quote, "The people of Texas are informed that, in accordance with a proclamation from the executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. The freedmen are advised to remain quietly at their present homes and work for wages. They are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts and that they will not be supported in idleness either there or elsewhere." Most free people weren't terribly interested in staying with the people who had enslaved them, even if the pay was involved. In fact, some were leaving before Granger had even finished making the announcement. What followed became known as the scatter, when droves of formerly enslaved people left the state to find family members or more welcoming accommodations in northern regions. Texas is a large state, and General Granger's order and the troops needed to enforce it was slow to spread. According to historian James Smallwood, many enslavers deliberately suppressed the information until after the harvest, and some even beyond that. In July 1867, there were 2 separate reports of enslaved people being freed, and one report of a Texas horse thief named Alex Simpson, whose enslaved people were only freed after his hanging in 1868. In the 1870s, former enslaved people pulled together $800 and purchased 10 acres of land, which they deemed Emancipation Park. And until the 1950s, it was the only public park and swimming pool in the Houston area that was open to Black Americans. In southern states, the holiday is traditionally celebrated with oral histories and readings, red soda water or strawberry soda, and barbecues. Some states serve up Marcus Garvey salad with red, green, and black beans in honor of the Black nationalists. Rodeos have also become part of the tradition in the Southwest, while contests, concerts, and parades are a common theme across the country. Juneteenth is about my blackness, not my faraway dreams of African bliss. Africans jump ship rather than submit. My kin don't know that shit. Rather, chains, forced birth, brands, demands, rape, and other problems for us to grapple with. Juneteenth, Emancipation Day, to be emancipated is debated. Though it's a day to commemorate the enslaved in America, present-day confusion smears the narrative and dilutes the intention. Interventions are needed because I'm tired of the ignorance. We are red, white, and blue on this day, on any day, though this day is for us, the descendants of the formerly enslaved. So why do we celebrate with African affirmations and justification when the trauma and pain and so-called freedom, everything, happened here? We have something to give us understanding of self, and we still choose to latch on to something else. Our history is here. We are American. Our history is partly strife and trauma, generations of pain, torture ingrained, and we shouldn't be ashamed. This day is for us to be proud and learn it, not celebrate a continent. Them Africans come here with hope and pride and slide on by us. Why do we try to be anything but who we are? We built this country, but we don't act like we own it. We let everyone else tell us what to do. And when one of us tries to inform you that you're ill-informed and there's another way, we as a group do a dance and walk away, but complain when there's no change. Unity and kinship, seek truth and knowledge, and heed history. There's a clear way for us to get some things abolished. We need more understanding and true meaning, and I can't help but feel like we are getting further and further from poking through that glass ceiling. One can hope, one can dream, though like rebellions of past times, we need to unite. That is how we rise.